welcome back to another Take the Lead podcast episode. I am your host, Tara Chantel, and we got another bag talk session where we get real intimate with that spiritual bag within. I am so honored. I am so excited for this one, y'all. Alan Z. Hold on, you the Fresh Prince of Atlanta? Okay.
Oh, thank you.
From an artist, you rap, you sing, an actor, all up into one pot. I'm so excited to just have this moment with you today. You're honestly a mogul, a legend, a living legend. And it's so incredible, all the art that you have created for us. So I just want to thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate the introduction. I'm gonna use that as like a snippet somewhere. You'll hear your voice.
Yes. I want you to take us through your childhood. Like, were you always interested in the arts and entertainment?
I would say I started pretty young. Like I started out when I was like in elementary school, like writing, because I like to write like poetry and short stories and stuff like that. And then I got interested into hip hop around like 4th and 5th grade, and then I started writing like raps and stuff like that in like middle school. And then from there, I started to explore like other things. Like I started getting into singing at 15, and then around like junior year, I started getting into like acting through like improv and theater. And then it was just, for me, I didn't want to be like confined into one I guess career path. I just wanted to be like an all-around multimedia entertainer. So I wanted to like strive and be the best at everything I wanted to do. You know what I mean?
Wow, and you are doing that, especially with your new single. The chip, the flow is incredible. From you singing and rapping all in one, like, what inspired the single?
I felt like this year I've done a lot of like show improving with like other like genres I touch on. So like with Blame It On Me, you hear the R&B, like the vocals. With Ride or Die, you hear like the pop sensibilities. But I didn't have like a full-on song that like showed like how good I can rap. You know what I mean? Like as far as this year. So I was like, I wanted to do something that was like I could be comprehensive of what I talk about, but also show you different flow patterns and cadences and like wordplay, and just put it together in a package. So I was like, this would be like a good way to end 2020. You know what I mean?
The word play is everything. How you say you Jet Li with the pen. Okay.
Yeah.
What sparks your creativity, and how do you continue the momentum?
I think like when I was younger, it was about like how can I make like certain things like word association, like what could like catch people off guard. But I think these days it's about like what can I say to make the most impact. Like how you just quoted like the Jet Li line. It's like when I say certain things, I want people to like reflect and think about why I said certain things. So it's like even if the wordplay is hard, it's also gonna stick it to you, and then you're gonna try and figure out what I meant by that. So it's all about like what I can do to make the most like I guess like people like I guess what sticks to the people the most. You know what I mean? Because I'm a big fan of like just like 90s hip hop and battle rap. So it's all about like impact and like quotables and what you can say to like land and make a the room shake. You know what I mean?
Come on, make the room shake, because you're creating such a huge impact by your music that can just like set you apart from the rest. And what else I noticed from the new single is that you didn't cuss at all.
Yeah, I think you're right. I was trying to think of I had to think about it, but I think so.
What I have observed is like that's rare nowadays. How did you like create that lane for yourself and to just set you apart like that?
Well, I mean, I'm not like Will Smith. Like, it's not that I don't cuss. It's that like when I cuss, I want it to be impactful. Like, I don't like a lot of times. Okay, can I cuss in this podcast or?
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
Okay. So like, for example, like when rappers like, I feel like I don't like using profanity as a crutch. Like, if there's a 2-syllable word with fucking, right? If I have like an adjective that describes it better than I'm a fucking, I'm gonna use that. You get what I'm saying? But if I'm saying something and it's like I'm using emotion, yeah, then I'm a cuss. But if I feel like there's better words than like that word, then or like any other word, I'm gonna use it. You know what I mean? So I feel like it's about what I'm trying to say like when I'm trying to say it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because music is just so powerful, and like the youth is watching it. The youth, that's how you can really talk to the youth and speak volumes to like shift the narrative. If you speak truth to power like that, what would you want others, and especially the youth, to take away from your music?
I definitely want them to like learn how to stand up for themselves and speak up, because I feel like just us growing up as like minorities, like we're often told to not speak our minds, to kind of thrive in this system that we're in. But I think now I see a lot of paradigm shifts happening where there's a lot more people that look like us that are in power, and it's like they didn't get there by being silent. They got there by speaking their mind and putting forth what they want in the universe. So
Mm.
for me, it's really about shifting paradigms and hoping that the next generation does, even better than me and my class of artists and actors.
And that's what I really like want to commend you, because you use your platform for social justice. You speak truth to power, and I want to know like what stems it and the courage it takes you to just truly just speak your mind like that, because it's incredible.
Oh, thanks. I feel like I don't know. I think it happened more so this year, but I've always kind of like I guess teased it. Like I would always kind of like always speak my mind about like injustices and stuff like that. But I think this year was just like if you don't say anything now, it's like you're never gonna say it, and it's like you can't be that tone deaf to like real life situations that are happening in the world. You know what I mean? So I was like, it's you at some point you got to take a stand because otherwise you're just complacent.
Yeah, and silence is deadly. Like just like you said, it will be complacent at that point. Have you ever ran into any pushback
Oh,
when
all the
you
time.
really?
Yeah.
How do you reciprocate that and maneuver around it?
If it's like somebody who is clearly just like not gonna listen, I either troll them or just like say something like a petty comeback. But sometimes what I have noticed about like backlash is like you can kind of see different people's schools of thought. You know what I mean? It's like there's a lot of people stuck in a certain mind frame, and it's like there's nothing you can say to make them think differently, right? And so sometimes you just know not to take that personally, especially if you're like taking a stand and it's like for the betterment of like say like your people or whatever, right? Like there's a lot of people that don't want to listen to that because they're so brainwashed by what like white supremacy has taught them. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna go there with them if they're not willing to listen. Like you know what I mean? Like it's like there's a phrase that's like I only debate my equals. Everyone else I teach.
Mm,
So I
mm,
can't teach you if you're not willing to listen.
yeah, right. And that key word right there is just like the brainwashing technique that a lot of people unfortunately are hypnotized over just by what they push out in the media, because I know you see like the stereotypes, especially just being Asian and me being black, so
Yeah.
like it's just a gray area. And I love as well how you had a clip about the more we play against each other is how white supremacy wins. Talk more
Mhm.
about that, because that was just a powerful line right there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that was the I believe the Black and Asian unity piece I did with Wise. I think you met Wise or maybe you're familiar
I
with him. He's he's
know, we
in
gotta
he's in
meet.
Atlanta and yeah he also acts and he does music. But this was like during like I think it was April or May, and it was like the rise of anti-Asian hate crimes was just like rampant, right? And there was a lot of like division amongst like our two communities, and so I was talking to Wise about it. I was just venting to him about how like people are just so like not sympathetic to like the Asian cause and everything, and a lot of it has to do with ignorance, and they just don't get it. So I was like, what if we just did something where it can kind of like get people talking, because I've always felt like there was this unspoken dialogue between the Black and Asian community. I said this way before. I just didn't know how to deliver it. So I was like,
Wow.
let me just try it. And then it went viral, and I was like, okay, I guess people did want to hear it, and there were some people that didn't. They were just like, oh no, I don't want to. I would never want to be like cool with Asian people, whatever. Like I'm not gonna, I can't win over everyone. But there was a lot of people that were like really thankful that like we were able to spark a certain like a dialogue in that
Oh
manner. You know
my
what I mean?
goodness. Like I think this link up is so necessary. I think these type of conversations is so necessary, because it is crazy, because like you said, the conversation is not had. I don't know
Yeah.
why we don't link up and just dominate the whole thing together, because that's what we're more powerful in numbers like that.
This is what's so crazy is like I did a lot of like history this year, like just reading about just what our ancestors have done and stuff like that. And like if you go back to the 60s, right, there was this movement called the Third World Liberation Front, which was comprised of Black students, Asian students, and Latino students. And basically, they fought against the university system to push for ethnic studies, because before they weren't teaching like our histories. it was all white history, pretty much like in public school, right? So they band together and they forced universities, I think in like Berkeley, or don't quote me, but it was like in the West Coast, and they forced them to bring in ethnic studies. And so also right around this time was when this propaganda of what the model minority is started happening, and then you started seeing the division between the black and the Asian communities, because the white man was like, hey, look at these Asian people doing well by themselves, way better than you black people. And it's like all these different types of like tactics, right? But it's like, think about how like we don't know about the Third World Liberation Front unless you like go back into history. But that was like a key of how powerful people of color can be when they're actually like united to do something, and fighting for our rights.
Wow, that's incredible. And I love how, like, during this time of 2020, how you just been doing history about your ancestors and where you came from. What else have you learned? Because I know I don't have not much knowledge about the Asian community, just
Yeah.
everything I just know you guys dominate in wealth, honestly. Like y'all come over here and then y'all have ownership and then y'all stick to yourselves, and I commend that, because that's where as Black people we lack at, just having that unity. But I would love to know some history that you can just drop on us.
Yeah, I think that what you just said may have been like, it's kind of like it's like misinformation to me, because it's like we Asian people have like the highest income disparity. So it's like, even if you think about East Asians, like the Chinese are among the poorest in New York. You know what I mean? And then there's like refugees that come from like Southeast Asia that like are really below the poverty line that people don't talk about, because if you put Asians in this frame of like wealth, it's easy to discredit us, to say, oh well, you're rich, it doesn't matter what you go through. But it's, if you look at like if you pull the wool over their eyes and you see what's really going on, it's like, it's not like that. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of like struggling Asians. But even so, even with this idea of like, well, they have wealth, we don't have media, like any kind of like media representation. We don't have political power. We don't have any kind of social economic pull that can basically like put us in the right frame of mind where we can be in a conversation. A lot of times you see that Asian people either get like silenced or they're used as like some kind of pawn. You know what I mean? And they'll say like, well, Asian people do that, and then just throw them away. To me, like it's because I think Western civilization thrives in this like binary narrative of the black and white struggle. So it's like, we think about black people, we think about white people, but then Asians and whoever else that don't fit in it, they're just kind of like used to, you know what I mean? And to like, as like almost like human shields. So it's like they're just using them at will, but it's like our stories are so silenced. And I think that's what a lot of Asian people are fighting now. It's like, yo, we're even different from Asian people from Asia. Asian Americans are a totally different like group of people with our own identities. You know what I mean? And we didn't have our own identities until the 60s, when this professor like pretty much like gave us that name. Because before, like they used to call us like Orientals, Chinaman, all these slurs. And then Asian American was born in the 60s. So it's like, yeah, we're kind of relatively new, but it's like we're like slowly finding out who we are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's so unfortunate as well, because how we have to adapt to this language in America, and we don't have our own language. We don't even have our own names because we have to adapt. So I would love to know, how do you feel being an Asian in America?
That's a broad question. I'm trying to think of how to answer that. Give me like an example, like no, go ahead.
Everything that you name, like I'm just in complete like shock, just the history. And it's true, they have been silencing us. You were just dropping so many facts and how the politics, like it's crazy. And I would just love to know, like, how does that really feel?
Really annoying. Like I'm pretty militant. Like I'm very just like, fuck that. I'm fighting back. I've always been like that. It's just like, I think this year it made me, I'm more knowledgeable so that I'm fighting for it with an actual cause, as opposed to just like, I want representation, I want to be seen as this. Like it's deeper than just like, oh, I want to be like because I've always wanted to be like the romantic love interest in Hollywood movies. But now it's like, it's deeper than that. I still want that, but I also want like basically power back to my people. You know what I mean? And give us back like what we deserve and what we were like pretty much taken from. You know what I mean? So I think when I was a kid, like all I wanted was just to be treated fairly. So like when I grew up, I was in a black neighborhood at first. I just got jumped a lot. I got called slurs, the chinky eye thing. And then when I moved to the white suburbs, same thing. They found out I rap, and they bully me for that because they're like Asian people shouldn't do black things. You know what I mean? And so I was always in this kind of frame of mind of like, what is wrong with me? And so once I started, going into my entertainment, like, self, and then finding like-minded people that, didn't look like me, but they got it. Because, I hang around mostly black people. So like, they were just like, oh, I get where you're coming from as like an outsider.
Yeah.
I started to explore why, even as children, we're like this. Why do we, you know what I'm saying? Like, why are people racist to other kids that don't look like them? It's like, this is so deep. And so that's something I've always wanted to explore. And I think like seeing how like children are racist towards each other, because I still see that with like people being mean to Asian kids, it breaks my heart because I'm like, that could be my son. You know what I mean? Or like my nephew. And it's like, how is this still a thing? How are you 8 years old and telling someone to go back to their country? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, or like calling a black kid the N-word. It's like, how are you that racist? You don't even know what race is. But this is what we're like bred into, you know?
Oh my goodness, from the jump, like kids can be so cruel.
Yes.
Like if someone doesn't look like them at all and just not even knowledgeable, and just the fact that you can say like go back to your country, it's just like this is my country. Like what,
Right.
like what's up with it? And it's just that is just truly remarkable. Just the way you use your platform, the way you speak up, the way you stand up, and it's just like it's demanding and it's captivating overall. And I commend you as well because it's necessary and it's so needed. And I know all your brothers and all your sisters is like cheering you on. Like, how do they feel about it as well?
You mean my actual brothers and sisters, or
No,
you mean like
no,
in
no,
just?
yes,
Oh,
the
you
Asian
mean
community.
like? Oh yeah, I was like, I'm an only child, so I wouldn't know. Yo, this
You
is
know,
what's
we
so crazy.
all related,
Yeah,
honestly.
yeah, yeah. This is what's so crazy is like, I don't know if you knew this, but like I never knew if like Asian people liked me until this year, because I never had an Asian audience. All my fans predominantly were black up until this year.
Really?
So for me, I'm just like, how do I even like communicate with my community? I've always felt like I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So this year when I started like really speaking up and using like history and facts and like using music to like bring people to the attention to the people, like Asian people started fucking with me, and I was like, oh shit, like this is possible. And
Wow.
so it's pretty beautiful to see like me having this kind of like dual demographic. It's like my main demographics are black and Asian. It's kind of like culturally what I was brought up on. So it's really cool to see like when you bring value to the table, like what it can do for you.
Wow, and that's gonna create solitary for us. Like just how you bringing us this bridging the gap, and bringing these two communities together. Like, and the way you use music is just so genius. Like, just your flow, the way you write, the how you put the pen to the pad is just so captivating. And you're just a genius. I just want to give you your flowers now because I see the growth and I see just the work ethic as well. How you was just saying like you going viral out here. Like
Mm,
tell us about the secrets to going viral.
I don't really think there's a secret, because if it was, I'd be going viral every day. You know what I mean? Honestly, it's really about, I think, intention. Like if your intention is, if you're doing it for the right reason and you're creating the right kind of content that people want to see, you have a better chance of being seen. Not saying you have a better chance of going viral, but you have a chance of people connecting to you. Because I think the bigger picture shouldn't be like, oh, I really want to go viral. Because there's like people that we know that went viral like 2 years ago that we don't hear about. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to name names, but there's a lot of viral cats that are just broke and don't have, because it's like, what did they go viral for? You know what I mean? It's like, you can go viral for doing clown shit, but it's like, that doesn't mean people are gonna latch onto you. So I think the the conversation for a lot of people shouldn't be how do I go viral. It's how do I connect to people. You know what
Come
I'm saying? How do I
on.
resonate?
That's incredible. I love how you said intention is everything because that's how I move. I move on
Mhm.
purpose. Like I'm so strategic with my moves as well. But the fact how you just built just such a solid audience for you. Where did you begin with that process? Were you just being yourself the whole time? Like how did you market yourself in this big capacity?
You know what's so crazy is like when I was younger and I first started out, there were like people that were mad at me because I didn't pander to like what they thought was like I should do as an Asian artist or whatever. And this was other Asian people, because like they saw that I had a predominantly black audience because I was doing a lot of like urban music and how I was moving, and they were just not happy with it. So I think for me, it was like because I was myself, I caught a lot of flack for that. But I think when I started even growing and evolving and like finding out what being myself really meant, that's when I started finding like more and more people to resonate with me. That even if they don't look like me, they understand the passion. They understand where I'm coming from. And
Yeah.
I think it's really just going with that your intuition because like I don't know if you've spoken with like like other artists who have had like this rocky path with the major label system, but like I've been through that, and not to say I'll never sign with a major, but it's like because they didn't know what to do with me, and I was kind of like lingering to see if they could like help me. Like I wasted a lot of years. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Because they didn't understand how to push an Asian artist as a non-Asian person, so they were trying to figure out all these things that they would do for like a white dude or a black dude, and it's like sometimes that doesn't apply to like someone who doesn't fit in that mode and they don't know how to like move in that space, right? Or they would be like, oh, we should just like ship you to like Korea or China and just stupid shit. And it's like we should put like a gong in your music, and it's just like
Oh.
it's like that's when I realized I have to first reclaim my narrative before I swim with the sharks, because even to this day, like if I was to let's say if I was to walk into a meeting and they're like, oh, you do great numbers, we want to sign you, like I'm still gonna be hesitant because what does that mean for me in my future? Do I just become a novelty, or are you gonna let me tell the story that I want to tell? I
Wow.
think creative control is so powerful in this industry.
Man, especially when you have substance to yourself. Like you
Right.
have substance, you have values, and you're standing on a platform that you're creating justice. So it's just like it's truly bigger than you. Like everything that you're doing is much bigger than you. And it's so necessary that you create, how you said, create your own narrative and tell your own story, because that's how you draw the people in. And I would love to know like just advice for up and coming independent artists, because you're making it happen out here.
I think you, as an artist or creative, you just got to go with your gut, because a lot of times you know the answer, but you're too afraid to listen to yourself. Like we always have a voice, an inner voice that knows what to do, but a lot of times we listen to the wrong people and we get ourselves fucked up.
Wow, that is so true. And I was just speaking on that. Like, I feel like that's like the higher consciousness of
Hmm.
ourselves. That's our inner God, whatever word you want to use. But why do you? I want to know, like, what have you observed of people just not trusting themselves? Because I feel like that is what it is. People don't trust themselves.
I think it's like they believe in like this capitalistic lie before they believe in themselves. You know what I mean? It's like when I see a lot of artists and how they move and they're trying to go on this rat race that everyone else is going on to like go the conventional path. A lot of times like they fail because they could have been doing something else and then getting there by themselves, as opposed to having someone else like like pillar them to that position. Because I don't know, like I feel like when you're not like someone that they can make into a novelty, like a low pump or whatever, it's a lot harder to like go and take away your integrity, if that makes sense. So it's like if you're an artist that don't give a fuck about like what you have to say, what you believe in, you can just be molded whatever, you're probably gonna succeed. Let's 9 times out of 10. You know what I'm saying? Like if they want you to like do some crazy stuff, you're probably gonna do it, and it's like okay, cool, you'll have your 2 years. But I think you know what I'm saying? Like if you're an artist or an actor and you have substance, you have intent, it may take you longer because you know exactly what you want. That doesn't mean they're gonna give it to you. So the most important thing out of all this shit is leverage.
Mm.
Because if you don't have anything to bring to the table, they're gonna be like, well, we have millions of dollars. What the fuck do you have? I've been in those conversations, so I know exactly like how it feels to be like, you know, put there. And I was like, all right, cool. If that's what the conversation is, I gotta bring my M's up. You know what I'm saying? Because I gotta match it. Otherwise, what exactly can I say to sway them?
Wow. I love that a lot. You just dropped so many gems, especially in the entertainment industry. How do you stay patient and trust the process that you're on, because it's gonna take you a little longer because you're moving with integrity.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I felt like back in maybe like 2015, 2016, I was just always angry because I felt so entitled. I was just like, I should make it because I'm so much better, blah blah blah. But I feel like understood why I didn't, because I was just so ungrateful. Like I was going like at that time I didn't even have like 10,000 followers, but I was going on tours and festivals and I didn't appreciate it because in my head I'm like, I should be doing Coachella. Fuck that. And it's like, bro, how the fuck could you say that? You haven't even, you know what I'm saying? Like, and so I think for me it's just trusting God's timing, because I'm just like, you start understanding why certain things don't pan out if your heart wasn't in the right place. So right now it's like, I know I have to be patient because I have to see what else I need to learn, what else I need to improve on, not just as an artist, but as a human being. You know, what's missing that can make me like go from here to there. You know what I mean? And I see like just how much I've progressed as, you know, just this year. You know, yo, there's so many people that are like of influence, right? That I know on a personal basis. And just because they found me on Instagram or wherever, and it's like, that didn't happen last year. And I know that was for a reason. You know, it's like now I think they see the value I have, as opposed to last year when I was just like, I'm the best rapper alive, I'm the best, I'm the best. And it's like, okay, what the fuck do I have to offer besides battling other rappers?
Wow.
So I think you just gotta trust, you know, that like you said, the process. I don't like that word, trust the process, because I feel like it feels like people say it so that they can like delay whatever, you know, like growth you have. But the
Yeah.
process in a sense of like the higher universe, I believe in that, you know, trusting the universe, I think.
Yeah, right. Oh yeah. Like this journey is already like written out for us. I feel like we are destined for greatness. We are greatness as well. We just have to just catch up to it. Like it's
Yeah.
truly it's there. It's already been achieved. We just gotta continue to walk into it like that. Especially in the entertainment industry, man. I just commend you how you're just using your platform, using your voice as well. What have you learned from 2020?
Oh, I learned so much. Yeah, yo, it's funny because like whenever you throw these like broad questions, I'm just trying to like think of everything to answer. So I'm like, oh fuck.
Right, you can take it wherever. That's
Yeah,
why
yeah, yeah.
I gotta keep
Um,
it going.
what have I learned in 2020? I think like, damn, there's so much, and I'm trying to think of how to compact it without like boring you to death. But
No, you just dropping so much. Just start somewhere because
okay,
you learned so much. How you were saying that, how you were just learning about your history. It's just like how you learned about just trusting God's timing. It's just beautiful to me.
yeah, yeah. Like, there's so much, and like if I get stuck, just throw me like a like a you know like a safety net. But definitely like history for sure, because for some reason I just got really into it. Like I was never a history guy in school, maybe because I was learning about like George Washington and not like
Like
what my
history.
people, you know what I'm saying? So it was nothing that made me go, oh, I want to study this. But I think, yeah, just I think learning my history was so impactful, because it's like the kind of trauma that like my people went through, people don't know about. You know, like the biggest lynching in American history was a Chinatown massacre in 1871. You know what I'm saying? Like 19 people hung, and this is like, you know how they had like Black Wall Street, like that shit was happening to like Asian people in America. So like they were trying to drive out Chinese people away from the country and like burning them and like, you know, hanging them. So
I just
shit
don't
like that.
understand how people can be that evil though.
Yeah, right. It's I think it's the fear of like the other, because you know how like they say white is the norm and then everyone else is the other. So there, it's like, you know, like when Public Enemy said fear of the black planet. Like there's also the fear of like the rising east, which is why yellow peril is like still a thing. So yellow peril is basically like this term of Western civilizations being scared of Eastern countries rising up and defeat, like, you know, being better than them, which is why you see so much anti-China. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then the 1980s it was anti-Japan. Same shit. It's just people, you know, of that kind of like mindset, thinking, yo, I don't want someone else to take over, so I'm gonna, you know, find my ways to like, you know, make them look terrible in front of like, you know, the media. So learning about that, and just, you know, and also like on a more spiritual kind of like tip, I think like just learning about just gratitude, you know, like because, you know, like I haven't really like seen a lot of people since the pandemic. I think it made me think about like how much I appreciate like my people. And when I
Mm.
say my people, I don't mean like my Asian people. I mean like just like my friends, my family, my loved ones. It's just like, man, like, you know, it's like you don't realize how one, life is short, and two, like what they mean to you when the world is in chaos. Because it's like when this shit is just like, you know, like there's no type of normalcy, you start thinking about how beautiful it was to just live a normal life of just like being being with, you know what I'm saying, being with people without like an imminent danger of a virus. And like Yeah, it's just a lot of reflection and thinking about how I'm gonna move differently. Like once everything goes semi back to normal or whatever. You know what I mean? Or fully back to normal.
Right, a lesser struggle than we are in
Hmm.
right now. That is just incredible about just gratitude, because just waking up every day, just being able to breathe, like just appreciating the small things, because that can truly like shift our attitude a lot. And I love that. How do you see yourself in 2020 moving? Because like you said, like you moving different now, like the growth that you have.
I think I'm wasting a lot less time because back in pre-COVID days, I was definitely a lot more like fixated on social media. You know what I mean? Like I don't know about you, but for me, it's like I started thinking less about vanity metrics and more so about just like connection and impact, right? And
Come on.
also like just getting away from comment sections because that shit is so toxic. Like you want to argue with everybody that's stupid. I just kind of just I stopped that because I'm like I have so much money to make. Like I don't have time for this. Thinking about how I can bring like like value to the table is like one of the most important lessons I learned. Is like like when you're younger and you're like trying to get put on, you're usually thinking about, well, how can this person help me? But it's like, what can you do for that person? Because there's like a lot of artists hitting me up like, Alan, I want you to do this for me, and I'm just like, what exactly can I do for you? That you know what I'm saying? It's so I can see from other people's perspectives that are I guess like higher than me. It's like how it feels. So it's like really holding up your own weight and bringing your own leverage to the table.
Mm. And yeah, you are definitely like a valuable player. And I know like the attraction is there. You have people just gravitating towards you. It may just be the Libra in you, honestly,
Yeah.
brother. But like,
Right.
I would love for you to tell us like just about being a lucky Libra out here, because I feel like that's just destined of your success as well. Just how you're just such a great person. That's why you have such a great attraction to you, because you just get along with everybody. You're just a likable person.
Right. That definitely is a Libra thing. I think we're all about balance, because I'm so big on moderation. It's like if I get because I know I have addictive personality, so I have to force myself to like do certain things in moderation. You know what I mean? And I think I don't know, like understanding people is like key to like having people resonate with you, because like you got to always think about like not just yourself but your surroundings, learning to read the room, learning to like be like empathetic to people, and just like not always realizing it's not all about you. That's something I had to learn, because I was back in the past I was always me, but it's like it's just way bigger than all of us. Like you can see how like the world can fucking pause at once due to like what I'm saying, like something like this, and you can see how connected we are really.
It just made me like really tap into like the spiritual realm, realizing how you just said this is all bigger than us. Everything is like truly temporary, so we have to figure out what is really meaningful. And I love how you said now you're gonna create content off of impact, and that is like the true purpose for me as well. Like impact over everything, because that is what truly matters, and that's the legacy that you are leaving to others. So I just commend you for that.
Thank you. I think people like Jordan Peele, like they show that it works. You know what I mean? Like every single movie he's had has had some kind of like meaningful message behind it, and it's not some corny like preaching. It's just there. Like it's there, but it's so entertaining, and it's like it's doable, because a lot of times I think people think if you have like a message or you have some kind of consciousness, it's gonna be whack or it's trash. But it's like it's all about how you do it, how you package it up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you just polished with your packaging as well. Very polished, very captivating. Like just the marketing is so there, and how you had the single "Ride or Die," man. I love that as well. What qualities does a ride or die partner have to have for you?
uh, I'd say a girl that is 100% about me, like loyal, smart, funny, um, and shares similar interests. Like they have to be on the same like I think wavelength as me. Like
Mm.
in terms of like how I've evolved, like you got to evolve with me. So that's kind of how I define as like a ride or
Yeah, if you're not growing, you're dying. That's how I feel.
die. Right, evolve or die.
Like, come on, evolve or not.
Right.
Have you noticed, like, about the music right now? It's very raunchy. It's very, like, low scale for me, very
Mm,
low frequency. What
mm.
is, like, some advice you can give to artists that are just after the money? They're just after the change, how you're after impact over everything. Can you, like, just drop some gems for us real quick on that aspect?
Yeah. Yo, it's like I don't think there's anything wrong with like chasing the bag because obviously I want money, but I think it's like I don't know because it's like if that's all that you're after, you're gonna do some fuck shit because I mean there's people with way more money than all of us and they're gonna be like, all right, you want money? Here's what you gotta do. And so I think it's just thinking 10 steps ahead. You know, it's like this game, like the entertainment industry is all chess, and if you don't
Mhm.
know how to play, you're gonna get fucked. So I think like like I don't know. Maybe there's artists out there, that don't give a fuck about what we have to say because they just want the bag, and that's cool. But for those that are just trying to like make it and actually stand for something, it's like you definitely gotta be 10 steps ahead and know. Sometimes it's okay to walk away from like situations that don't benefit you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, come on, that don't benefit you. I always try to go back to that scripture. It's just saying, like, if you gain the world and lose your soul, like, what do you have to offer? What do you really have in
Yeah.
the end? Because I'm telling you, this material realm that we're in, people are getting hypnotized over, and it's like, yo, you will have to do it again if you're not doing it right the first time. Like,
Yeah.
so, like, get it right. And I feel like just learning that and just doing this journey is just truly a teacher for me. Like, I'm learning every day.
I feel like it's also kind of like, what is your definition of success, right? Because that changed a lot for me. And you can answer, because I definitely want to hear your input as well. But I feel like for me, when I was younger, I was like, all right, I have to be as big as Eminem or I'm a failure. But then it's like I realized how much of a trap that is. You know what I mean? Because there's people that are way more successful and like are in the top tier and they're just not happy because it's like you said, it's like, you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't fix what's right with your like what's in yourself, like you're just gonna be miserable with money. And so I think it's so important to like just I mean the key to life is really just finding happiness even amongst like the mundane. You know what I mean? It's just because that's when you can really be happy, when you actually gain money. Otherwise you're just always gonna be stuck in this rut of like, all right, I have money now, I want more money because to fill this void. And I mean, I was definitely in that mode for a while too, which is why I'm speaking from experience. But it's something we gotta I think figure out for ourselves. And I
Yeah.
think if you have that void, people in the industry gonna find out and they're gonna exploit that. You know what I mean? So
Man, that is so incredible how you said, like, you're just gonna, if you're feeling a void and you're feeling down, depressed, you're just gonna want more. You're never gonna be satisfied. Like,
mhm,
nothing is ever gonna satisfy you. You're gonna need a new Lambo, you're gonna need a new car,
mm,
a bigger house, everything bigger, because you're chasing something that is just unattainable because everything is within. And I
mm,
feel like success for me is peace. Like,
mm,
if I have a peace of mind, I am truly successful, and everything else is just gonna come and just be cake and just be icing on the cake. So that is where I love for just us to get to, because that's what I feel like. Of course, society, they have made it up to be that we are needing money to survive, but I feel like before they printed it out, that wasn't how the transaction went. Like, that wasn't how life went before money came about.
mhm,
So just knowing that it's not all about money. Like, money, we came here before money was even
mhm,
invented. I feel like this life, how they set it up for some people who doesn't tap into their powers like you, who doesn't tap into their gifts, they just work and just die, and work
mm.
and pay bills and just die, and that hurts my heart.
I mean, that's what capitalism is, though. It's just this, like this like everlasting like desire for more and more. You know what I mean? It's like, and that's what kind of sets up a lot of people to lose too. You know what I mean? Because if you're competing on that level, it's like there's gonna be way more losers than winners, which is why you got to know how to play your position and win your way. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think in this digital age, there's so much opportunity that we can create for ourselves and not depend on nobody. You know what I
Come
mean?
on. How do you win at life?
How do you win at life?
Tell us how you
Uh,
win.
I think what you said kind of nailed it. Just having peace of mind, because like when you feel right with yourself, like I mean, you start moving differently, and it's like you start making moves not out of desperation or because you feel like you need to, but because you feel like you want to, and it's gonna do some good. You're moving with intent, and I think like I don't know, like there's a lot of people that just do it because they feel like they're chasing something, and I feel like I don't even like saying the word like I'm chasing my dreams because it's like what are we chasing? Like when you chase something, it keeps running. So I'd rather just like you get what I'm saying. It's like I feel like it's
Living it.
gotta
I
be
feel like you're living your
you got
dream.
exactly. You gotta actualize it. That's how I feel. You gotta take on your dreams. I don't like that word chasing. I'm chasing money. I'm chasing that. It's like, but why are you running after it? It should already be in your possession. You feel me?
Come on,
So
that's what I
yeah.
believe too. Like you already the bag within. You don't have to
Mm,
chase anything outside of you. And I really believe that as well. We're not chasing the dream. We're living our dream every single
mm,
day. Maybe it doesn't look at a certain capacity that other people see, but that's when you have to understand just the process of doing like little things every day for the bigger
mhm.
picture overall.
That's so real. And I think also just appreciating what you have because I learned the lesson the hard way. Because like a few years back, like I've had like some of the best times in my life looking back, but I didn't realize how much I was actually living, I guess, the dream because I was chasing something that didn't exist. You know what I'm saying? I was chasing the smoke and mirrors that like the world has set up for you. So I'm like, you gotta really, like you said, every little thing that you're doing to like make your dreams happen. That's really what it's all about. Like that's what the journey is. This life is just like, that's why people say appreciate the journey and not like the destination. Because once you get there, it's like, all right, I'm not at the top of the mountain. I'm still not happy. What the fuck is left? And then you start doing drugs. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it happens because you're so like not satisfied, right? And you got to chase another high, and it's like it goes back to moderation and knowing what you want.
Wow, and that's just incredible because how you said like you were in a place where so many artists is like striving for, and you just said didn't appreciate it at that time. Did you have to overcome any obstacles in the entertainment industry? If so, like what were they and how did you like overcome them?
Uh, I would say the biggest like obstacle it's definitely race related. So like since I was like young, like people have always kind of like discovered me and like try to mold me and all this stuff, and it's like
Discover me.
yeah. uh, and I think that the common like denominator was always like, well, you're Asian, so it's gonna be hard for us to, like people may not be ready for an Asian artist, and it's like always this bullshit excuse after an excuse. I don't know if I want to put my career on the line for you, and it's like, bitch, why'd you sign me then? Like, and so like I think that was always the obstacle, and I think because I didn't know how to stand up for myself when I was younger as much as I do now. I didn't know how to walk away gracefully like I can now, because it was always messy. It was always me like, man, fuck you, blah, blah. But instead, I could have been like, look, we're not right for each other. It's not me. It's not you. It's me. And just like break up with them, amicably. So I have a few industry beefs because of how we handled, certain like business relationships. But I think it's just knowledge itself is so important. Just like I was telling you earlier about like reclaiming my narrative. I didn't know how to dictate it and they didn't know how to respect me enough to listen and let me figure that out for myself. You know what I mean? Like, of course, like, like when I make music, it's not just for Asian people, but the fact that I'm Asian, it means something because it's like, I remember this conversation with an Asian artist homie of mine, right? This was when I was still figuring out, like, how do I put my race into this whole identity? Because I know I'm more than an Asian person, but I can't erase that. Just like you can't erase being black or a woman, I can't erase being an Asian male, and I have to embrace that, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, yo, think about the elephant in the room, right? Like, imagine 50 Cent getting shot 9 times and not talking about that. It's like, because everyone's going to be looking at you like, well, why are you here? So I think for me, it was figuring out a way to do it that one wasn't off putting
Mm.
and two didn't feel gimmicky. Like, I'm not saying it because I want you to. I'm trying to stand out. It's like, no, I'm already standing out because I look different from everyone in the room. So now let me tell you my story, and how much we actually relate to each other.
Wow. And that just takes so much boldness. And that's how people just respect you even more, like owning it, just
Hmm.
owning that characteristic about yourself. Because of course, like just physical beings, we go based off of looks. That's how we see,
Yeah.
we until we take time to tap into their spirit. But we have to see this shell, how it just starts off with, but then how you own your shell, and then now tap into my heart, it just gets people like that immediately.
Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly.
That is just so incredible. And how you said earlier before how you have done like so much reflecting, you've been spending so much time alone. Tell us about your journey on self-love, because I feel like that's so necessary.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely want to hear yours too, because I low key listen to a lot of your podcasts when I'm like working and stuff, because it's just you have a very good like speaking voice, so it's like you speak with intent, and so I definitely want to hear about your journey as well. But for me, I think it had to do with a lot of thinking about like my past and how not only how I saw myself, but like how I was treating other people. Because even when I was thinking about like high school and middle school, which was like the worst years of my life, being bullied, I remember I was an asshole to a lot of people too. You know what I mean? So it's like yeah, I definitely was bullied and people were racist, but I was also mean to certain people, because I was chasing this idea of what it meant to be, to be accepted. It's like, yeah, I wanted to be cool, so I made fun of people that were even less cooler than me, and it's like, damn, that's fucked up. And then go, and then going into, uh, like 2015, 2016, when I started, getting my name up and thinking about how I burned bridges because I was so arrogant and such a diva, which I still am to a degree. Like, I'm definitely a diva because I know what I want. You know what I'm saying?
When you just know your worth, you move.
Yeah, but like I had to really think about like, you know, how I was just an asshole. So like just a lot of self-reflecting about like how it can be not only a better person and love myself, but loving other people. And just giving everyone a fair shot and just not being exact same people that I hate. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, gratitude, I think that was the biggest lesson as far as like this self love path, because I wake up every day, I'm just like, man, I'm thankful. And not just because it's a mantra, but just because I genuinely feel it, because like, damn, I could have ended up way worse. You know what I mean? And I'm not. I'm growing and I'm progressing.
And then that's just a win overall right there.
Right.
Like when we're still alive, that means we still got so much time on the clock to just go after our goals. So it's just like we're winners. And I feel like when we get to that mindset and get to that mind frame that we're not lacking anything, and what sets us apart, what makes us different is our true power. So when we take our power back and demand
Mm.
space, and I feel like as minorities, as me being a black woman, you being an Asian man, we have to just demand space and we have to use our voice. We shouldn't be playing small for anyone, playing it safe, just truly
Yes.
living up to our goals and what God intended us to be here for. And that takes courage.
Yeah, that reminds me of this anecdote I was gonna share with you about like not playing it safe and just being silent. I remember when I was like under management, right, and there was like this talk show host. I was being racist to Asian people, and I was telling my managers that like I'm like, yo, when I get on this show, I'm gonna destroy this dude, and they were just like, no, you can't move like that. You gotta be political, and they were just like so not sympathetic to what I was going through, and basically telling, like you said, telling me to play it safe, and that always stuck with me because it's like, how am I gonna represent for my people if I'm just being like a suck up to someone being racist towards me? You know what I mean? And it's like, I don't know, like you said, demanding space, because I feel like the way people have made it seem like it's like there's only enough space for so few people, right? Like I remember there's a show called Master of None that Aziz Ansari was in. He was
Mm.
talking to his other Indian homie, and he was like, yeah, like in Hollywood, they got like in every show, they got like two slots for two black people, one slot for an Asian person, and maybe one slot for an Indian. And so like that always stuck with me because for how true it is, but also how we need to destroy that, because that's such a lie. It's like look at like how many successful black films there have been because they broke that narrative, and you
Mm.
guys rewrote it. You feel me? So I think like that is so important. It's like we can't let people say that we're there's only two of us that can succeed, or one of us. That's such fucking bullshit. Just me succeeding, I can't be the only Asian person to succeed, because then that means like I have a billion people I'm responsible for. You see what I'm saying? No one can carry that much weight, and I think it's really a collective effort.
That is like incredible, because I really believe the only way the narrative is going to change is unless we print out our own paper. So I'm really big on creative freedom. I'm really big on just independent over everything, because that's when you really know your worth. I'm not gonna walk on eggshells to try to be politically correct, to just try to please other people, when I feel like my truth needs to be said, and then it makes me feel like I'm being disobedient to God, because God wouldn't have gave me this wisdom to not share it. So that is just, it truly has to be, especially like just being confident in being independent. And if we want to control the narrative and get it really popping, that's how it has to be for me.
I mean, shit, look at Issa Rae. She was popping on YouTube, and she's dominating HBO with shows she wants to write. And that's to me is so beautiful. Like, the fact that we have like Netflix and stuff like that, and it's accessible to an extent. We didn't have that 10 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like, you better get signed to an agency that, that's under Warner Brothers or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, get a development deal with NBC. But now it's like, that's not the only way, and there's nothing wrong with that way if you get it, because I definitely want to get that. But there's so many other ways to get it.
It is, especially, I just feel like, just as Libras, like, just maybe it's my rebellion spirit. I don't know. I'm just a rebel. So like, how you said earlier, like, the space that we're in with technology, you can really cut out the middleman if you want to. The ball is truly in your court. Whatever route you want to take, you can do it and dominate it in. And that's beauty.
Right.
Especially like just the leverage you have overall already with all your platforms. Like, you can take it there. You don't need nobody. Okay. They need you. And that's incredible when they are going to come to you now. People are going to come to you and approach you correctly, and you set your demands, and you don't have to compromise anything.
That is so real. And that's something that I think we should all fight for, is leverage, and making sure our demands are met,
And just when you do that, because it takes time, because you didn't just happen overnight. Like, you've been working, man. You've been paying your dues, planting your seeds, connecting with the right people, collaborating with people. I remember I saw you on a skit with my homegirl Peanut. Like, before I even like truly met you in person. So I was already familiar with your work ethic. So like, it's just incredible. That's like, the work ethic that you have beats it all. Just keep going, like, just keep going.
Yeah, definitely.
That's incredible. This was so powerful, Alan. Like, so many gems were dropped. Like, you taught me so much, and I just appreciate you so much for just your time, your energy, and just the space that you have created for us. Thank you.
No doubt. This is fun.
Tell us how we can keep in contact with you, especially download your new single. Tell us.
So yeah, you guys can follow me everywhere at Alan Z Music. That's ALANZ Music. And all of my music is on all social like streaming platforms: Spotify, Apple Music, Pandora, Tidal. And if you search Alan Z, you'll find it. ALAN, last initial Z.
That's incredible. Before you go, I would love for you to just drop a vision, how we can create Black and Asian solitary for the future, for 2021.
I think having open dialogue is important, and a lot more collaborative work should happen. Like, I've been doing that just on a dolo, but like, I think when people see that, it's kind of like it kind of kind of shatters their mind a little bit, because they're always thinking of, this is what I hate. I hate when people see like an Asian person and a Black person and immediately think Rush Hour. That shit has always bugged me, because it's like, there's so many partnerships between our communities that's bigger than Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. I'm like, we can't all be Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. That shit bothers me so much. So
that was a great
because it's like, first of all, I love this franchise, but it's like, bro, like, that's so offensive. I always make this comment. It's like, when you see a white person and a Black person, do you always say Lethal Weapon? Why is it that, you know what I'm saying? It's like, so there's got to be more like representation of that.
I'm sorry to cut you, but that was just the
Go ahead.
problem in the movies in Hollywood, that they create these narratives and then now society lives on it. I just had to drop that.
Oh yeah, but see, we need more of that, and it's like if this is social programming, let's program it the right way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, wow. Let's program it the right way. I love that because it really is like how you stated earlier, just brainwashing. A lot of this is just brainwashing until we like turn off and just be conscious and aware of what's truly going on. Then that's how we can control it and maneuver correctly.
Right.
Man, Alan, I look forward to it. Thank you so much, for real.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. You have an amazing rest of your day, and I just want to thank the listeners so much for tapping in, tuning in to another Bag Talk session, Take the Lead podcast. We're going to be back at it with another one.